بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today inshallah we'll be solving mathematics code 0580 paper 4 variant 2 February March 2023. Bismillah. Yalla bina. Okay. Question number 1 part AI. Alan and Beatrice share $750 and the ratio Alan to Beatrice is equal to 8 to 7. فانت عندك الراتيو Alan to Beatrice is equal to 8 to 7. بيقول لك show that Alan receives $400. Okay. فانت التوتال ratio عندك the sum of the two ratios 8 plus 7 is 15. بيقول لك that they both share $750 فهنكتبها تحت التوتال. بعدين بيقول لك show that Alan receives $400 فهتكتب تحت Alan X وهتطلع the value of X. هتعمل 8 times 750 divided by 15 شغلة تانية ابتدائي. ف 8 times 750 divided by 15 is equal to $400. Okay. Double I part A. Alan spends $150, right? 150 as a percentage of 400. That's a very easy question. هتكتب 150 as a fraction of 400 and then you multiply by 100 to find the percentage. And you'll end up with 37.5%. Okay. Part B. He invests the remaining $250 at a rate of 2% per year. Simple interest. Okay, so that's a simple interest question. Calculate the amount Alan has at the end of the 5 years. You should know that the simple interest formula is given by so simple interest is equal to the principal amount multiplied by the rate times the time in years or in months, it doesn't matter, depending on the rate, all divided by 100. We'll substitute our values into this formula. So 250 times 2 times 5 divided by 100 is equal to $25. ولكن هنا بيقول لك calculate the amount Alan has at the end of the 5 years, not the profit that he makes at the end of the 5 years. فاللي هتعمله to $250 الامount اللي كان عنده في الأول plus his profit. And this is equal to $275. Okay. Beatrice invests her $350 at a rate of 0.25% per month. Compound interest. Okay, so that's a compound interest. Calculate the amount Beatrice has at the end of the 5 years. ماشي. Give your answer to the nearest dollar. Okay. So we know that the compound interest formula is given by the principal amount multiplied by 1 plus the rate divided by 100 raised to the power of n, the time. Okay. فانت الريت is given per month the time is given in years. ما ينفعش يكون عندك two different. لازم الريت يا month والyear التايم month أو الريت is in years and the time is in years. فاللي هتعمله تعال بس substitute our values الأول. The principal amount is 350 times 1 plus the rate which is 0.25 divided by 100 raised to the power of n. ولكن we won't substitute 5. We'll substitute 5 and then we'll multiply by 12 عشان to have it in months, and you should end up with a value of $407 rounded to the nearest dollar. Okay, so this is our answer. By the way, and if you want to calculate the profit, you can just subtract 350 from 407. This will give you the profit made by the end of the 5 years. Okay, on to part B. Carl, Dina, and Eva share 100 oranges. The ratio Carl to Dina is equal to 3 to 5. We like the ratio Carl to Eva, so Carl to Eva, and then واحدة تالتة is equal to 2 to 3. Okay, 2 to 3. المفروض هنا يكون عندنا التوتال. ماشي. فأنت بيقول لك هنا find the number of oranges Carl receives. فأنت الفكرة هنا you're given 3 different persons, 3 different quantities, where you're given the ratio between 2 of them. The Carl to Dina و Carl to Eva. فأنت الجول بتاعك ان انت find the ratio between Carl, Dina and Eva. فاللي هتعمله كالآتي. هتعمل دلوقتي find the lowest common multiple of 3 and 2. وال lowest common multiple دوت هيكون 6. Okay. And what is 6 divided by 3? Well, 3 times 2 is equal to 6. So the answer is 2. and 6 divided by 2 is 3. ففrom 2 to 60 you had to multiply by 3, and from 3 to 6 you had to multiply by 2. فهتعمل نفس الفكرة 5. You'll multiply 5 by 2 because that's what we did with 3, and you'll multiply 3 by 3 because that's what we did with 2. ف5 times 2 is 10, and 3 times 3 is 9. And here you go, this is the ratio coil to Dina to Eva. Okay, عندنا coil to Dina to Eva is equal to 6 to 10 to 9. والtotal بتاعنا is the sum of the ratios, which is 25. بيقول لك they all share 100 oranges. هتكتب ال 100 تحت التوتال. بعدها find the number of oranges Carl receives, which is 6 times 100 divided by 25. So 6 times 100 divided by 25 is equal to 24. Alright, on to the next page. Part C. Fred buys a house. At the end of the first year, the value of the house increases by 5%. At the end of the second year, the value of the house increases by 3% of its value at the end of the first year. The value of Fred's house at the end of the second year is 60,564. Calculate how much Fred paid for the house. فتعال نقول مثلا that the price of the house, Fred bought the house for X amount of dollars. Okay, so X amount of dollars. We look at the end of the first year, the value of the house increases by 5%. How do we write the price of the house at the end of the first year in terms of X? Well, okay, تعال نكتب هنا end of first year is equal to X plus the amount that it has increased by. So 5 over 100, 5%, X. So this is equal to 1.05x. Okay, بعدين بيقول لك at the end of the second year the value of the house increases by 3% of its value at the end of the first year. So end of second year the value of the value of the house has increased by 3% of its value at the end of the first year. So we'll write 1.05x plus 3% of its value at the end of the first year. So 3 over 100 of its value at the end of the first year, which is 1.05x, and this should be equal to 1.0815x. So, and we're told that the value of Fred's house at the end of the second year is $60,564. So 1.0815x is equal to 60,564. And to find x, you'll just have to divide 1.0815 from both sides, and the value of x should be equal to $56,000. Okay. Part D, Gabriel invests $500 at a rate of R% per year compound interest. Okay, so you got another compound interest question. At the end of the 8 years, the value of Gabriel's investment is 609.2. Okay, so at the end of the 8 years, the value of Gabriel's investment, that is not the profit, that is the total amount that he has by the end of the 8 years. ماشي? So we know that what is that? So we know that the compound interest formula is equal to the principal amount times 1 plus the rate over 100, all raised to the power of the n, which is time in years. Okay, compound interest is equal to 609.2, which is equal to the 500 times 1 plus the r, which we're looking for, over 100, all raised to the power of 8. And then you'll divide by 500 from both sides. So 1 plus r over 100 all raised to the power of 8 is equal to 609.2 divided by 500. And then raise both sides to the power of 1 over 8. So 1 plus r over 100 is equal to 609.2 divided by 500, power of 1 over 8. And then to find r, you just subtract 1 and then times 100 from both sides. So r is going to be equal to, it should look something like this, 609.2 divided by 500 raised to the power of 1 over 8 minus 1. And put that on your calculator and you should end up with r being equal to 2.5. Okay. Next question. Question number 2, part A. 100 students take part in a reaction test. The table shows the results عندنا reaction time from 6 to 11 and number of students. They should add up to 100 because we have a total of 100 students. For part I, write down the mode. المود دوت is the most repeated number. Okay, فالنمبر of students دوت ممكن تقول معنا صح it represents the frequency of the reaction time. وأعلى frequency هنا is 32 which اللي هو عندها reaction time 7. Okay. بيقول لك for double I find the median. الميديان دوت is the middle value when you write a set of numbers in increasing size or increasing order. ماشي. فاحنا عندنا اكيد مش هنكتب 100 100 values in increasing size. هتاخد انت ما عندكش وقت في الامتحان ده في الامتحان. فهتعمل طريقة اسهل عشان solve this question. هتعمل what's 3 plus 32. That's 3 plus 32 is 35. Okay. And 35 plus 19 is 54. And 54 plus 29 I think is 83. 50 plus 29, 83, yes. And 83 plus 11 is 94, and 94 plus 6 is 100. لو التوتال بتاعنا 100 students. فالميديان أكيد هيكون 100 over 2 اللي هي ال 50th student. ماشي. وال 50th student بتاعنا it lies between 35 and 54 at a reaction time of 8. فالأنسر 8. For triple I, calculate the mean. The mean دوت is the average of the numbers in the list, and it can be calculated using this x is equal to the sum of the values we have divided by the number of values we have n. فهتعملها كالآتي. هتعمل 6 multiply by 3 عشان احنا عندنا reaction time 6 3 مرات plus 7 times 32 عشان احنا عندنا reaction time 7 متكرر 32 مرة. وهتعمل نفس الحكاية بقى 8 times 19 plus 9 times 29 plus 10 times 11 plus 11 times 6. ده كله كده divided by the number of values we have. واحنا عشان احنا عندنا 100 students ف n is equal to 100. و let me just write that down on my calculator. الإجابة إن شاء الله هتطلع equal to بسم الله 8.31. Okay. Part IV. Two students are chosen at random. Find the probability that both the reaction times are greater than or equal to 1. ماشي. قبل بس ما نحل السؤال دوت تعالى بس نطلع the number of students that have reaction time greater than or equal to 9. فتعال نكتب كده number of students with reaction time greater than or equal to 9 is نروح على التيبل. عندنا 29 students عندهم reaction time 9 و11 عندهم 10 و6 عندهم 11. ف 29 plus 11 plus 6 is equal to 46 students. حلو. فانت البروبابيلتي ان انت تختار student من ال 100 student دول عندهم reaction time greater than or equal to 9 is equal to 46 divided by 100. ولكن بيقول لك find the probability that both the reaction times عشان هو بيختار 2 students مش student واحد بس. فانت هتعمل times 45 divided by 99. هقول لك ليه دلوقتي. انت بعد ما اخترت اول student عنده reaction time greater than or equal to 9 number of students قل بواحد number of students اللي هم عندهم reaction time greater than or equal to 9 قل بواحد. فعشان كده بقت 45 والتوتال بقى 99. و the answer is استنى كده اكتبها is equal to 23 divided by 110. هي دي الانسر. اوكي. Part B. The box and whisker plot shows the heights in centimeters of some students. For part I, find the range. Okay. Range دوت is equal to the maximum value minus our minimum value. والحتة ديت represents the minimum value which is equal to 105 I think. والحتة ديت also represents the maximum value. فالماكسيمم هنا is equal to 158 والminimum هنا is equal to 105. 158 minus 105 is equal to 52. ماشي. For double I, find the interquartile range. الانتركوارتايل range دوت can be calculating using Q3 minus Q1 أو بمعنى أصح ال 75th percentile minus our 25th percentile. ودوت هنا is our 75th percentile ودوت is the 25th percentile. Okay. Now عشان إن شاء الله link video in the description about interquartile ranges. Okay. بسم الله ال 75th percentile هنا is 150 142 وال 25th percentile هنا is 122 ف 142 minus 122 is equal to 20 centimeters. On to the next page. Okay, part C. The mass of each of 200 potatoes is measured. The table shows the results. عندنا الماس of the potato from 50 to 110, 60 potatoes. From 110 to 200 is 99 potatoes, and 200 to 300 is 41 potatoes. Okay, for part I, calculate an estimate of the mean. زي ما قلنا قبل من شوية إن the mean دوت is the average, and it can be calculated by finding the sum of each value divided by the number of values we have. ماشي. sum divided by the number of values we have. Okay. فتيجي مثلا هنا في أول column، تعال بس نفكر كده الأول قبل ما نحل. عندك هنا 60 potatoes والماس بتاعتهم range from 50 to 110. فانت الفكرة هنا انت ما تعرفش كل potato من 60 potatoes دول عندهم ماس ايه. ف the most accurate way of estimating the mean is taking the median of 50 on 110 الماس. okay. فالmedian of 50 on 110 can be calculated by 50 plus 110 divided by 2, which is 50 plus 110 divided by 2, which is 80. we'll do 80 multiplied by 60. بعدين we'll repeat this process for each column. فالميديان بتاع the second column 110 plus 200 divided by 2 is equal to 155. 155 multiplied by 99. وأخيرا 200 plus 300 divided by 2 is 250. Okay, 250 times 41. دوت كده كله divided by the number of potatoes اللي هو 200. وثانية كده هحطها على calculator إن شاء الله تطلع لنا الإجابة is 151 grams point 975. اوكي. دلوقتي السؤال اللي بعديه أو البارت اللي بعديها double I complete the histogram to show the information in the table. عندنا ال y axis ال frequency density وال x axis ال mass بتاع ال potatoes. ماشي. اوكي. ال frequency density sorry ال frequency density ديت can be calculated. نكتب هنا row كمان frequency density is calculated by dividing the class width from the frequency. frequency density is equal to frequency divided by the class width. والclass width دوت اللي هو مثلا the difference between these two numbers 110 minus 50 which is 60. اوكي. 60 divided by 60 اللي هي 1. ده كده frequency density بتاع أول column. ماشي. frequency density بتاع تاني column is 99 divided by 200 minus 110 which is 90. This is 1.1. اوكي. واخيرا لاخر column هنعمل frequency اللي هي 41 divided by the class width اللي هي 300 minus 200 اللي هي 100 is equal to 0.41. و يعني it's very easy بس هتضطر ترسم هنا. انا اكيد يا لهوي ثانية. اوكي. فالرينج from 110 ل 200 من 110 ل 200 is 1.1. 1.1 is somewhere here. yes. اوكي. انزل تحت بقى. ماشي. و from 200 to 300 عندنا frequency density 0.41 اللي هي somewhere here. okay. that's it. very easy question. تمام. sorry, from 200 to 300. my bad. okay. on to the next question. okay, question number 3. The diagram shows a cylinder containing water. There's a solid metal sphere, this sphere right here, okay, touching the base of the cylinder. So the surface of the sphere is in contact with the base of the cylinder. Half of the sphere is in the water. The radius of the cylinder is 12 and the radius of the sphere is 3 centimeters. The sphere is removed from the cylinder and the level of the water decreases by h centimeters. Show that h is equal to 0.125. okay, that's a very interesting question. It uses some sort of a physics concept, which basically states that if you want to calculate the volume of of an irregular shape, you submerge it into water, and then record that reading of the volume of the water, and then you remove that irregular shape, and then record the volume of the water after you remove the irregular shape, and then subtract these two values, and then you'll get the volume of the irregular shape. Now basically, we can use the same concept. So basically, the volume of sphere submerged is equal to the volume of water when sphere is submerged. Okay, excuse my handwriting. Minus the volume of water when sphere is removed. We're basically calculating the volume of the water that has been displaced when we have put the sphere into the cylinder filled with water. Okay, so we know that the volume of the sphere submerged is basically the volume of the half of the sphere, or the volume of a hemisphere with radius 3 centimeters. Okay, so we know that the volume of hemisphere is equal to half of this, because that's the volume of a sphere. So half times 4/3 times pi times r cubed, and r is 3, so 3 cubed. This is equal to 2/3 pi times 3 cubed, which is equal to, you can just eliminate this. This will become a 2. 9 times 2 is 18. So the volume of the hemisphere is 18 pi centimeters cubed. Okay, so 18 pi is equal to the volume of the water when sphere is submerged minus volume of the water when sphere is removed. And the volume of the water is taking the shape of the cylinder. We can calculate the volume of the water by just doing the area of the base times the height, and the height is 3 centimeters. Okay, so for the volume of the water when the sphere is submerged can be calculated by the area of the base times the height. So area of the base is pi r square, where r is the radius of the cylinder, which is 12 squared, times the height, which is 3. Okay, minus the volume of the water when the sphere is removed. As we said, um, the water level decreases by 8 centimeters, so the resultant height of the water will become 3 minus h. So we can still calculate the volume using the same concept earlier, pi r squared, the area of the base times the height. So pi 12 squared times the height, which is 3 minus h. You can divide by pi from both sides, so 18 is equal to 12 squared times 3. What is that? 12 squared times 3. That is 432, minus 12 squared times 3 is also 432, plus 12 squared is 144h. Okay, this now 18 is equal to 144h. Divide by 144 from both sides to find the value of h. So h is equal to 18 divided by 144, which is equal to, hopefully, 1/8, which is 0.125. We solved it correctly. I hope that was easy. ماشي. On to part B. The water in the cylinder is poured into another cylinder of radius r centimeter. اوكي، فعندنا سلندر جديد نرسمه كده بسم الله. اوكي، الله ينور. ماشي، فالسلندر الجديد دوت has radius r or capital. ماشي، بعديها بيقول لك the depth of the water in this cylinder is 18. فهو الفكرة ان هو بعد ما اخد الواتر اللي في الاولد سلندر وصباه في السلندر دوت، المية reached a level depth of 18 centimeter. فالهايت of the water level is 18 centimeter. كده water. حلو. calculate the value of R. ماشي، فاحنا اول حاجة هنعملها ان احنا نكالكليت الفوليوم بتاع الواتر، بعدين equate it to the volume of this water in this cylinder. ماشي، فالفوليوم بتاع water عشان هو liquid ف it takes the shape of the cylinder، فممكن نقول بمعنى أصح that the volume of the water is equal to the volume of the cylinder at a certain height. ماشي، ف volume of water is equal to the area of the base واللي هي باي r square times the height. اوكي، فالراديوس بتاع السلندر التاني كان 12، فباي 12 سكوير times the height، والهايت كان 3 minus 0.125. خد بالك ده كله، الكلام ده كله حصل بعد ما شلنا السفير، فالنيو هايت بقى 3 minus 0.125. ماشي، 3 minus 0.125 اللي هي كده بسم الله 414 باي. ماشي، فالفوليوم اوف واتر دوت بعد ما صبيناه هنا عمل height of 18. فاحنا لو جربنا نحسب الفوليوم بتاع الواتر at new cylinder هيطلع لنا equal لدوت. فتعال كده نحسبها. volume of water at the new cylinder is given by pi r square times h، وال r is r capital، الراديوس is r capital، ف pi r square times the height which is 18. okay، ف 414 pi should be pi r square should be equal to pi r square times 18. فتعال نكتب هنا 414 pi is equal to 18 pi r square. You can divide by pi. And to solve for r, just divide by 18 and then take the square root. ماشي، ف r is equal to square root of 414 divided by 18, which is equal to Seneca, the square root of 23 اللي هي 4.8 rounded to the nearest decimal place. ماشي. For part C, the sphere is melted down and some of the metal is used to make 30 cubes with edge length 1.5 centimeter. فالسفير ديت اللي كانت في السلندر القديم سيحوها بقت ليكويد. ماشي، بعدها استخدموا الليكويد دوت عشان يعملوا 30 cubes with side length 1.5. بعدها بيقول لك calculate the percentage of metal not used. ماشي، فتعال كده كالآتي نحسب الفوليوم بتاع 1 كيوب. فالفوليوم بتاع 1 كيوب 1 كيوب is equal to، نكتب كده volume of 1 cube is equal to 1.5 raised power 3. ماشي، فالفوليوم بتاع 30 cubes of 30 cubes is equal to 30 times 1.5 raised power 3 اللي هي equal to 101.25 سنتيمتر كيوب. فده الفوليوم بتاع ال 30 cubes. ثواني الباز عشان العشاء بيقدم. اوكي we're back. تمام، فكنا بنقول ان الفوليوم بتاع 30 cubes is equal to 101.25 سنتيمتر كيوب، وبيقول لك في السؤال the sphere is melted down and some of the metal is used. يعني مش كل الفوليوم بتاع السفير استخدموه عشان يعملوا 30 cubes. فتعالى نحسب الفوليوم بتاع السفير. الفوليوم بتاع السفير is given by 4 over 3 pi r cube, which is 4 over 3 pi times 3 square 3 raised power of 3 which is equal to 36 pi. okay, centimeter cube of course. فهو الفوليوم الامount of liquid استخدمه عشان يعمل الكيوبس من السفير is 101.25. فالامount اللي هو ما استخدمهوش is 36 pi minus 101.25. وعشان نجيب the percentage of metal not used هندivide by 36 pi عشان دوت التوتال، بعدها نضربه في 100 عشان نجيب ال percentage، ودوت is equal to 10.5 rounded to the nearest decimal place. Okay. Question number 4 about AI. Enlarge triangle T by scale factor 3, center O, comma 2. Okay. كده زوم شوية. بسم الله. حلو. ماشي، السنتر هنا عندك 0, 2. Let's call it X. ماشي. And you got points A or vertices A, vertices B and C. فيقول لك enlarge this triangle by scale factor 3, center O2. If we measure the distance between X and A, you can use your ruler. And I'll just call this distance D because it's a diagonal of the square. distance 8 is 1D, XA is 1D. فاحنا عاوزين لأنه نجرب by scale factor 3 فهو just find 3xa which is equal to 3 diagonals in the same direction as xa. فتكون one diagonal, two diagonal, and the third diagonal is right here. Okay, so this is point A prime. Okay, this is going to be a bit difficult for me to do, point XC. If I just use XB and then draw the triangle, okay. عندنا XB is equal to, let me just erase the diagonal هنا. Oops. Okay. ماشي. XD is equal to 1, 2, 3. 3 units. ماشي. So XB, or you can call it BX, it doesn't matter, is equal to 3 units. And since we enlarge it by scale factor 3, we'll multiply both sides by 3. So 3xb is equal to 9 units, okay? I'll move 9 units to the right from position x, or the coordinates of x. We already moved 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is our coordinate B prime. C prime أكيد هتكون هنا. And just draw the triangle. Okay? Yes, perfect. And this triangle is called triangle. I'll just call it type T prime, okay? Now, for double I, part A, rotate triangle T about 4,2 by 90 degrees clockwise. بص الصراحة ما عنديش tracing paper, so وكمان متأكد إن انتوا كلكم عارفين تحلوها. It's a very easy question. I'll just draw the triangle. The coordinates are 3, 3, 4, 3, and 3, 5. هذه الترينجل. Okay, ماشي. Let me just draw more accurately. Hello. This triangle is called triangle P. For part B, reflect the triangle T in the line x plus y is equal to 6. ماشي. أول حاجة لازم نعملها عشان نعرف نرeflect triangle T is to draw the line x plus y is equal to 6. If we make y the subject y, it would be equal to y is equal to negative x plus 6, where 6 is the intercept, y-intercept, okay, where negative x is the gradient is equal to negative 1, ماشي. The line passes through this point, and when x is equal to, when y is equal to 0, x is also equal to 6. If we drew the line, it would look something like this. Perfect. ماشي. When we reflect this triangle on the line, let me just write y is equal to, or we can write as x plus y is equal to 6. We'll end up with the following triangle. ادي B هتعملها reflect على اللاين دوت هتيجي هنا، وال C هتعملها reflect على اللاين ده هتيجي هنا، و A هتعملها reflect هتيجي هنا. Okay. Oops. ماشي. This triangle is going to be called Q. ماشي. بعدين بيقول لك أن describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle P onto triangle Q. هذه triangle P في transformation حصلت عشان اسمه ده map it onto triangle Q. This transformation is very obvious. We just had to reflect it on this line right here, this dotted vertical line. Well, dotted vertical line دوت has an equation, فممكن نكتب reflection on this dotted line والequation بتاعته is x is equal to 4. Okay. ماشي. Part B. Let me zoom out بقى كده. ماشي. The diagram shows triangle OHK, where O is the origin. The position vector of H is A, and the position vector of K is B. يعني كده OH is equal to A. ويقول لك هنا برضو OK is equal to B. Z is the point of HK such that HK is to ZK is equal to 2 to 5. ماشي حلو. Find the position vector of Z in terms of A and B. فاحنا عاوزين نجيب position vector هنا دوت. OZ what is it equal to؟ تعال أول حاجة عشان هو مدينا ratio of line HK، تعال نطلع كده ال position vector بتاع HZ وال position vector بتاع ZK. ففوي كده تعال كده مثلا هنا. اوكي هنا عندنا h وهنا عندنا k و z is somewhere here. اوكي z is somewhere here. فالريشيو هنا بتاعتهم is 2 to 5. actually تعال نكتبها هنا. ف h z okay so h z 2 z k 2 h k اللي هو التوتال يعني is equal to 2 to 5 والتوتال is 7. اوكي فاحنا ممكن نجيب ال position factor بتاع HK very easily. HK is simply equal to OK minus OH اللي هي يعني B minus A. اوكي B minus A. فاحنا بس ممكن نبتدي بقى نعمل لو احنا عاوزين نطلع HZ 2 times B minus A all divided by 7. لو عاوزين نطلع ZK 5 times B minus A all divided by 7. فاحنا قلنا HZ ال position factor بتاعه هيكون equal to دوت كده is equal to 2 times B minus A divided by 7 و ZK is equal to 5 times B minus A divided by 7 as well. ماشي back to the question. find the position vector of Z. احنا ازاي ممكن نروح من the origin to point Z. well احنا ممكن نتحرك OH بعدين نتحرك HZ. فنكتب هنا OZ vector OZ is equal to OH plus HZ. we're already given OH is A. ف A plus HZ احنا لسه مطلعينه is equal to 2 B minus 2A هعمل expand على طول divided by 7. we can split this fraction ف A minus 2A over 7 plus 2B over 7. 1 minus 2 over 7 that is equal to 5 over 7. so the answer is 5A over 7 plus 2B over 7. okay the position vector OZ. ماشي. Number 5 expand and simplify part A. عندنا two brackets. to expand this it's very easy. هتعمل 2p squared times 3p squared plus 2p squared times negative 2 and then plus negative 3 times 3p squared plus negative 3 times negative 2. ماشي. so 2p squared times 3p squared okay plus 2p squared times negative 2 plus negative 3 times 3p squared plus negative 3 times negative 2. تعال نيجي هنا. so 2p squared times 3p squared is 6p raised to the power of 4. 2p squared times negative 2 is negative 4p squared. Minus 3 times 3p squared is negative 9p squared. And negative 3 times negative 2 is plus positive 6. Simplify this and you'll end up with 6p raised to the power of 4 minus 13p squared plus 6. ماشي. Part B, I. We're given an equation. S is equal to U plus V divided by 2 times T. Interesting. That's a physics equation, by the way. Find the value of S when U is equal to 20, V is equal to 30, and T is 7. By the way, U is the initial velocity, V is the final, and T is the time. And S is the displacement. ماشي. Okay. you'll just substitute these values into this equation to find the value of S. So S is equal to negative كده 1 over 2 times 20 plus 30 times 7. Okay, 20 plus is 50 divided by 2 is 25 times 7. 25 times 7 is equal to 175. ماشي. No units required. Rearrange the formula to write V in terms of S, U, and T. ماشي. فاحنا we're supposed to rearrange this formula and make V the subject. ماشي تعال نكتبها تاني. S is equal to U plus V divided by 2 times T. But you can multiply both sides by 2 and we'll end up with S is equal to U plus V 2S 2S is equal to U plus V times T. ماشي. And to make V the subject we'll have to divide by T. So U plus V is equal to 2S over T. And then subtract U from both sides to make V the subject. So V is equal to 2S divided by T minus U. Okay. Or you can write this as 2S minus UT divided by 2, it doesn't matter. Divided by T. Okay. ماشي. Part C, I. Factorize completely. Part I. 2QT minus 3T minus 6 plus 4Q. حلو. لو لاحظت عندنا في أول two terms they have a common factor which is T. which we can factor out. So we'll end up with t multiplied by 2q minus 3 plus 4q minus 6. وفي حاجة جامدة جدا that إن أنت ممكن تفactor out 2 من هنا from these two terms and you'll end up with 2 common brackets which we can factor out later. That's the trick. So t times 2q minus 3 بعدها هتفactor out 2 from 4q and negative 6 ف plus 2 times 2q minus 6 ف you can now factor out 2q minus 6 from wait 2q minus 3 my bad. I'm so sorry. ماشي. I can now factor out 2q minus 3 from these two, and you'll end up with 2q minus 3 multiplied by t plus 2, and this is your factorized term. 2q minus 3 t plus 2. حلو. دلوقتي في double I مديك x cube minus 25x وبيقول لك factorize completely. حاجة سهلة جدا, just factor out x, في'll end up with x times x square minus 25, and this is a difference of two squares. ماشي, because a square minus b square can be written as a minus b times a plus b. Okay, just write this as x times x minus 5 times x plus 5. You cannot factorize that any further, so this is the answer. ماشي. Okay, اللي بعده. ماشي. Question number 6. A is the point 0, 4. Okay, let me just write down 0, 0, 4. And B is the point 8, 0. The line L1 is parallel to the x-axis. That's very obvious. And the line L2 passes through points A and B. Write down the equation of L1. L1, that is a horizontal straight line that is parallel to the x-axis. Okay. And it's pretty obvious that the equation of this line is equal to y is equal to 4 because it passes through point 0, 4. Okay. For point B, find the equation of O2. Give your answer in the form y is equal to mx plus c. Now, the equation of L2, we need two things. We need the gradient m and c, which is the y-intercept. The gradient can be calculated by rise over run, or y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. For y2 and x, so x2 and y2 are the coordinates of A, for example, and x1 and y1 are the coordinates of B. It doesn't really matter the order. So 4 minus 0 divided by 0 minus 8, which is negative half. And now for the y-intercept, which is c, it is literally given in the graph because c is the y coordinate when x is equal to 0 or when the line passes through the y-axis. So c is equal to 4. That's it. So our equation is equal to y is equal to negative half x plus 4. That is the answer. Just write that down here. On to part C. C is the point 2, 3. The line L3 passes through C and is perpendicular to L2. If I were given a point C, where is it? It's not even here. The line L3 passes through C and is perpendicular to L2. Show that the equation of L3 is y is equal to 2x minus 1. Okay. Now, when you have two perpendicular lines, there's a relationship or there's a formula that we tend to use to find the gradient of one of the lines given the gradient of the other line, which states that m1, which is the gradient of the first line, multiplied by the gradient of the second line, which is perpendicular to the first line, is equal to negative 1. Okay, ماشي. فالجريدينت بتاع first line اللي هو L2 is negative half. والجريدينت بتاع الجريدينت بتاع line 3, so نكتب كده m3 is equal to negative 1. We can then just divide by negative half from both sides to find m3, which is equal to 2. بس كده. ماشي. دلوقتي we want to find the equation. The equation is given by y is equal to mx plus c, and we already know the gradient, so we can just write y is equal to 2x plus c. Okay, we just need to find the y-intercept c. How do we do this? Well, we're given a point that this line passes through, which is c, 2, 3. So we can substitute these values into this equation and then find the value of c. ماشي. ف when y is equal to 3 and when x is equal to 2, 3 is equal to 2 times x, which is 2, plus c. And you'll end up with c being equal to negative 1. Therefore, L3 is given by y is equal to 2x minus 1. Okay? Now on to part I. L3 crosses the x-axis at D. Find the length CD. ماشي. واحنا already عارفين ان L3 is given by the equation y is equal to 2x minus 1. فلو احنا جربنا نرسم sketch كده صغير. ماشي، عندنا ال x axis وال y axis. احنا عارفين ان ال L3 ال y intercept بتاعه negative 1 و it has a positive gradient، فاللاين هيكون شكله عامل كده. حلو. ده L3 y is equal to 2x minus 1. فبيقول لك ال point D is at the x-intercept, so this is D. ماشي. وبيقول لك C الكوردينيت ساعتها كانت 2, 3 in part CI. ماشي. فديت كده is C. فلو قررنا نكتب الكوردينيت C is 2, 3 و D is رقم 0. الرقم دوت هنجيبه ازاي؟ Well, point D is at the point when y is equal to 0. If we set y to be being equal to 0, then we can solve for x and find the value of this missing number. So x would be equal to 2x is equal to 1, so x is equal to half. Now we found the coordinates of point B. Okay, I would like find the length of CD. To solve this, we can just use the formula for finding the length on a graph on a straight line. It's given by length is equal to the square root of the difference of the x coordinates squared, x2 minus x1 squared, plus the difference of the y coordinates squared, y2 minus y1 all squared. ماشي. ف the square root of x2 we can assign y1 and x1 being the coordinates of C, and y2 and x2 and y2 being the coordinates of D. For x2, which is half, minus 2 all squared plus 0 minus 3 all squared. Right, just write that down on your calculator and you should end up with, let me put that down, half minus 2 all squared plus negative 3 squared, which is equal to the 3 square root of 5 divided by 2, which is approximately equal to 3.4 units, rounded to the nearest decimal place. Okay, mesh. Okay, so we're given a set which represents the students in a class, and set P which represents students who study physics, C which represents students who study chemistry. And then the students in a class is 24 students. Students who study physics is 17, students who study chemistry is 14, and students who study both physics and chemistry is 9. ماشي. Complete the Venn diagram for part A. ماشي. So the students who study physics are 17, and to find the students who only study physics, we'll have to subtract 9 from 17. So 17 minus 9 is 8, okay? We'll do the same thing with chemistry. The students who only study chemistry is equal to 14 minus 9, which is equal to 5, okay? So the students who study only physics is 8, and the students who only study chemistry is 5. What about the students who do not study physics nor chemistry? Well, we can calculate that by doing 24 minus 17, 24 minus 8 plus 9 plus 5, which is equal to 2, okay? Now for part BI, find NP intersection C dash. Okay, now what is set P? Well, set P is represented by this circle right here. Okay, let me just shade it. Okay, now what about set C dash? Well, it is represented by this region. It is literally the region that is outside set C, and the only intersection is at this number right here, which is 8. Okay, now for part I, find NP union C dash. Okay, let me just erase this. ماشي. اوكي، فبيقول لك هنا احنا نفس الفكرة هنعمل where is set P، هي ديت set P. اوكي، دلوقتي what about C dash؟ This is C dash. C dash includes 8 and 2, and P includes 8 and 9. And since this is unions, we'll have to add all the numbers, whether they intersect or not. So 2 plus 8 plus 9 is equal to 19. Okay, ماشي. For part C, two students are picked from the class at random. Find the probability that one student studies both subjects and one student studies chemistry but not physics. ماشي. For this question, we have two scenarios. The first scenario, إن احنا نpick our first student being a student that studies both subjects, والتاني student a student that studies only chemistry. ماشي، ده كده أول سيناريو. تاني سيناريو بقى إن أول student نختاره بيكون بيذاكر chemistry، والتاني student نختاره يكون بيذاكر both physics and chemistry. ماشي، ف we just have to calculate these two probabilities and add them together. ماشي، أو we calculate one of them and then multiply by 2 because they're literally the same probability. ماشي، so I can just say or right here. ماشي، let's calculate the probability of this event happening. ماشي، okay. The probability of picking a student that studies both physics and chemistry is equal to 9 over 24. That's very easy. Now, the probability of picking the second student that only studies chemistry is going to be 9 over 24 times 5 divided by 23. And the reason why I subtracted 1 is because we have already picked or excluded our first student. So the number of students have decreased or decremented by 1. And this is equal to 9 over 24 times 5 over 23 is equal to 15 over 184. Okay, this probability is going to be the same. The probability of picking a student who only studies chemistry is 5 over 24. And the probability of picking the second student that takes both subjects is 9 over 23. It's literally the same. It's going to be 15 over 184. Oh, okay. Wait. ماشي. If I just add these two together, and you should end up with a probability of 15 over 92. Okay, it's very simple. Now part D, two of the students who study physics are picked at random. ماشي. So the number of students that study physics is 8 plus 9. Oh, that's not visible, but it's given here, which is 17. 8 plus 9 is 17. ماشي. بيقول لك find the probability that they both study chemistry. فأنت probability that يعني مثلا you have 9 students that study both physics and chemistry. فأنت مثلا دلوقتي wait يعني مثلا عندك دايرة فيها 17 students. اوكي، انا اكيد مش هرسم 17 واحد، تعال نرسم 3 مثلا. ماشي، طب دول 17، فانت كل دول بياخدوا physics، مش physics only physics. ماشي، ممكن واحد او اتنين منهم يكونوا بياخدوا physics and chemistry. فانت probability انت تاخد منهم واحد منهم that studies chemistry is going to be 9 over 17. was it? Yes, 17. بعدها probability انت تاخد واحد تاني that studies chemistry and physics is going to be 8 over 16, because we also removed another student, so it's going to be 9 over 17 times 8 over 16, which is equal to 9 over 34. Let's go. I hope that was clear. I guess inshallah. ماشي. On to question number 8a. Calculate the area of the triangle. The area of a triangle is given by the formula area is equal to half times base times height, which is half times 12 times 9, which is equal to 6 times 9, which is 54 centimeters squared. Okay, for part B, AB is equal to 2x plus 3. حلو، ده كده 2x plus 3. ماشي، بيقول لك الهايت is x plus h. طب ماشي، اوكي حلو. The area of this triangle بقى is equal to 50 centimeters square. Find the value of x, giving your answer to correct to 2 decimal places. فهنستخدم نفس الفكرة، هنجيب الاريا فورمولا اللي هي half times base times height. البيس بتاعنا is 2x plus 3، والهايت بتاعنا x plus 5 ده كله divided by 2 times is equal to 50. فعشان solve for x we'll just multiply 2 from both sides. ف 2x plus 3 x plus 5 is equal to 100. And then expand this bracket هيكون كده 2x square and 2x times 5 which is 10x, 3 times x which is 3x, with 3 times 15 which is 15 equal 100. Simplify, so 2x squared plus 13x, 15 minus 100 is negative 85. Okay, now just solve this using the quadratic formula, which states that x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all divided by 2a. Or use your calculator to factorize. It is actually not factorizable, and you'll end up with two solutions. Okay, so our two solutions will be negative 13 plus the square root of 849 divided by 4, and our second solution is x is equal to negative 13 minus the square root of 849 divided by 4. And our second solution is a negative value, which is rejected because you cannot have a negative a side length with a negative magnitude. It just doesn't make sense. So this is our value of x, which is equal to 4.03 rounded to 2 decimal places. Okay, ماشي. Okay, on to question number 9. We're given a function f of x which is equal to x cubed minus 3x squared minus 4. Find the gradient of the graph of y is equal to f of x where x is equal to 1. حلو قوي. I love functions. Okay, ماشي. To find the gradient of a function, we'd first have to differentiate this function and find f prime of x, or otherwise you can say dy by dx or y prime. It doesn't really matter. They're all the same. They represent the same meaning. ماشي. So let me just write down f of x is equal to x cubed minus 3x squared minus 4. ماشي. And when we want to differentiate, for example, a function that is written in the form ax raised power of n, where a is a constant and n is an integer, and n can also be a constant, it will be equal to a times n multiplied by x raised power of n minus 1. So basically, to differentiate this function, you'll multiply the exponent by the coefficient and then subtract 1 from the exponent. Okay, if I just apply this general rule of differentiating into this function right here, f of x, for f dash of x is equal to 3x squared and negative 3x squared. The derivative of this is going to be negative 6x, and the derivative of negative 4 is obviously 0. ماشي. To find the gradient of the graph of y is equal to f of x where x is equal to 1, we'll just have to substitute this value into this equation. So f prime of 1 is equal to 1 squared minus 6 times 1, which is obviously equal to negative 3. Okay, that's a very easy question. Part B, find the coordinates of the turning points of the graph y is equal to f of x. Now, a special characteristic about turning points is that the gradient at these points is always going to be equal to 0. So, for example, let me just sketch, let's say a quadratic graph, for example. This is called the turning point. And when you draw the tangent at this point, it's going to be a horizontal line, and a horizontal line has a gradient of 0. Okay, so we're just going to set our derivative function f prime of x being equal to 0, and then find the values of x for which the derivative for which the gradient is equal to 0. Okay, so 3x squared minus 6x is equal to 0. You can factor out x, and you'll end up with x being equal to x times 3x minus 6, which is equal to 0. And you'll end up with two solutions, x being equal to 0 and 3x minus 6 being equal to 0. So you can just add 6 from both sides and divide by 3, and you end up with x being equal to 2. Okay, So our first x-coordinate is going to be 0 and our second x-coordinate is going to be 2. And to find our y-coordinates, we can just substitute these values into our function f of x, not the derivative function, but our function. Okay, so we're given f of x being equal to x cubed minus, was it 3x squared? Yes. So x cubed minus 3x minus 4. So when x is equal to 0, f0 is going to be negative 4. That's very obvious. And when x is equal to 2, f of 2 is going to be 2 raised to the power of 3 minus 3 2 squared minus 4, which is equal to negative 8. Okay, that's it. ماشي. For part C, sketch the graph of f of x. حلوة قوي. Now, احنا لسه مطلعين في part B our turning points اللي هو when the gradient is equal to 0 and when the tangent is at this point is horizontal. فتعال كده نكتب الكوردينتس بتاعتها 0, negative 4 and 2, negative 8. اوكي. وتعال نكتب برضو الفانكشن بتاعتنا بالمرة f of x is equal to x cubed minus 3x squared minus 4. اوكي. ف something that you should know ان احنا اول بص كده على الكوفيشنت بتاع x cube هتلاقيه هو 1 which is positive. فلو هو positive our graph is going to look something like this. It's going to be increasing. ولكن if our coefficient of x cube is negative it's going to look something like this. It's going to be a decreasing function. ولكن if the coefficient is positive it's going to be an increasing function. Okay? ماشي. Now since we know that it's going to be an increasing function الجراف بتاعنا هيبتدي من تحت. ماشي. هيكون شكله هيبتدي كده. بس هل هو هيباس من هنا ولا هيباس من هنا؟ تعال نشوف نفكر دلوقتي. لو لاحظت هنا ال turning point بتاعتنا is at 0 negative 4 أو بمعنى أصح when x is equal to 0 ده هيكون ال y intercept بتاعنا negative 4. ف let me just erase this. هيكون عندنا turning point at this part right here. فهيكون شكله كده. ماشي. بعدها it will change direction. بعدها at the coordinates 2 negative 8 هيكون برضو turning point تاني. بعدها تطلع فوق. بس تعال نصغرها. يلا. Let me resketch it again. Okay, حلو. So this is going to be 2, negative 8 and this is going to be equal to 0, negative 4. This is the function y is equal to f of x. That's it. حلوة. اللي بعده. Question number 10. The diagram shows a quadrilateral ABCD 3D quadrilateral. AC is equal to 12.3 centimeters and AD is 16.5. Angle BAC is 31 degrees. Angle ABC is 90 degrees. And angle ACD is 90 degrees. Show that AB is equal to 10.54. Show that AB, the side length, is equal to 10.54 centimeters. ماشي. Okay. To solve this question, we need to consider the triangle. Consider the triangle ABC. حلو. ماشي. لو احنا جينا رسمناه كده لوحده triangle ABC. ماشي. ادي عندنا A, B and C. angle ABC is 90 degrees. angle BAC is 31. Allow it. This is not straight at all. Where we're given the side length AC is 12.3 centimeters. Okay, so since this is a right angle triangle, we can use trigonometry SOHCAHTOA to find any side length. Now, we want to find side length AB, which we'll call x for now. So since side length x is adjacent to the angle 31, and they're also given the hypotenuse, therefore we'll have to use the cosine, which says that the cosine of an angle in a right angle triangle is equal to the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. ماشي. Okay. فكده cosine of 31 is equal to x divided by 12.3. Therefore, AB or x is equal to 12.3 cosine of 31, which is approximately equal to 10.54 centimeters. Okay, ماشي. فبيقول لك هنا for part B show that angle DAC is equal to 41.8 degrees. Angle DAC, where is that? Angle DAC, this angle right here. ماشي. تعال نسميها theta. Okay. How do we prove that this is equal to 41.8 degrees? Well, نستخدم نفس الكونسبت. We'll consider triangle ACD. تعال كده نرسمه. Consider triangle ACD. ماشي. فلو جينا رسمناه what does it look like؟ ماشي. عندنا هذا الشكل A, C, and D. And we want this angle theta. And we're given the side lengths. AD is 16.5. Where AC is 12.3. Yes. Centimeters, of course. And angle ACD is 90 degrees. This is given in the question. So, again, this is a right angle triangle, and we can use trigonometry SOHCAHTOA to find the missing angle, the angle theta. So, we're given the adjacent side to the angle and the hypotenuse of this triangle, so we can again use cosine, which is the cosine of theta is equal to the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, which is 12.3 divided by 16.5. So theta is equal to the cosine inverse 12.3 divided by 16.5. Allahu Akbar. ماشي. Which is approximately equal to 41.8 degrees. Let me double check. Okay, صح. ماشيين صح لحد دلوقتي. Now for part C, calculate BD. Where is BD? This side length right here. BD. Okay, هنعمل ايه؟ Well, ممكن نستخدم نفس الطريقة اللي هي consider a triangle. بس if we consider triangle BCD, we literally احنا ما عندناش side length BC ولا side length DC ولا أي angle أصلا. وthis أصلا is not a right angle triangle. ف it won't work. We'll have to consider another triangle that includes the side length BD. Okay, and this other triangle is called the triangle ABD. Okay, احنا عندنا فعليا two side lengths and the angle between them, which is angle BAD, which is the sum of the angle 31 and theta, where theta is equal to 41.8. حلو. تعال كده نرسم هنا. فنكتب هنا كده. Consider the triangle. What is it again? ABD. Okay, ماشي. ABD. الحمد لله. So ABD دوت شكله كده. عندك ABD والانجل ديت is equal to 31 plus 41.8. 31 plus 41.8, which is 72.8. حلو. و AD is equal to 16.5. 16.5 and AB already جبناها الحمد لله في part A, which is equal to 10.54. And keep in mind that this is not a right angle triangle, we'll have to use the cosine rule to find the missing side length BD. فالcosine rule بتقول لك it states that BD square أو side length that is opposite to the angle, to the given angle, is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. فاللي هو BD square أو DB square, doesn't matter, is equal to AB square plus AD square minus 2 times AB times AD times the cosine of the angle opposite to the side that we're looking for, which is 72.8. If I just take the square root of this عشان تجيب BD, so BD is equal to the square root of الكلام ده كله. AB بقى هنكتب كده 10.54 square plus square minus 2 times 10.54 times 16.5 times the cosine of 72.8. This is equal to, استنى كده أحطها calculator, minus 72.5, 72.8 I mean. This is equal to approximately equal to 16.7 centimeters rounded to the nearest decimal place. Okay, ماشي. I'll also store that calculator because I think we might have to use it in the upcoming ports. ماشي. Port D بيقول لك calculate angle CBD. CBD. Where is angle CBD? CBD. This angle. Let's call it alpha for example. ماشي. مش فارقة كتير. فاكرين من شوية we said that triangle BCD this is not 90 degrees. That's wrong. ماشي. ف what ايه الحاجات that were given for this triangle? Well BD احنا عندنا BD ولا لأ؟ Yes احنا لسه مطلعينه. BD is equal to 16.7. What about BC? Well no, but we can calculate it using this triangle in port A. BC, Pythagorean theorem. BC is equal to the square root of 12.3 square minus AB square. تعال كده نكتب هنا for triangle ABC. We know that according to Pythagorean theorem, AB square plus BC square is equal to AC square. فكده BC is equal to the square root of AC square اللي هي 12.3 square minus بسم الله AB square اللي هي 10.54 square اللي هي equal to ثانية كده 6.34 centimeters. حلو. Also store that value on your calculator. ماشي. فكده طلعنا BC اللي هي 6.34 وبرضه قلنا BD is equal to 16.7 centimeters. ماشي. فمفروض بس آخر حاجة نطلعها side CD. نطلعها ازاي؟ Well, we'll consider triangle ACD. We're given two sides. Pythagorean theorem تاني عشان نطلع side DC. فنكتب هنا كده على الجنب triangle ACD. Well, AC square plus AC square plus CD square is equal to AD square. فكده CD is equal to the square root of AD square اللي هي 16.5 square minus AC اللي هي 12.3 square اللي هي يعني 16.5 square minus 12.3 square which is equal to 11 أو 10.998 centimeters. ماشي. Also store that value on your calculator. حلو. فاحنا كده عندنا ال 3 sides بتوع ال triangle BCD. أخيرا 11 centimeters. If we're given the 3 sides of a triangle we can calculate literally any angle in this triangle. فتعالوا كده نرسم التريانجل دوت تحت. كان شكله كده I believe دوت كان BCD was it? Yes. وديت الانجل اللي احنا عاوزينها alpha. BD was 16.7 and this is 11 وBC is 6.34. Okay. ماشي. According to the cosine rule, the cosine of alpha is equal to نكتب بقى السم بتاع squares of the sides اسمه ده جنب الانجل 16.7 square plus 6.34 square minus the opposite side which is 11 square divided by 2 times the اسمه ده the sides adjacent to the angle. 2 times 6.34 times 16.7 and then take the inverse cosine of this to find alpha. So alpha would be equal to, let me put that down on my calculator. Alpha would be approximately equal to 20.7 degrees. Alhamdulillah. That was a long question. Oh, now for part E. Let me just drink a sip of water. ماشي. Calculate the shortest distance between from C to BD. حلو. I think we'll have to redraw this triangle again. ماشي. ادي كده. وادي هوبا ادي كده ماشي. It's not perfect triangle بس الحمد لله. ادي نعمل حل. ادي انجل الفا اللي هي 20.7 degrees، وادي this side is 16.7، هذا is 6.34، وده 11. ماشي. بيقول لك calculate the shortest distance from C point C to BD. و the shortest distance, if you think clearly or for some time, the shortest distance would be the perpendicular line that connects BD and C اللي هو دوت كده. This angle should be 90 degrees. If this angle is equal to 90 degrees, then we have a right angle triangle, which is, let's call this point X, which is equal to this triangle. This right angle triangle is called CBX. For triangle CBX is right angled triangle. ماشي. We're given as well one angle and the hypotenuse. فكده we can calculate any side we want using trigonometry. So كتسوى. So CX. So CX is literally the opposite side of the given angle, and we're given the hypotenuse, therefore we'll have to use the sine, so which states that the sine of an angle, which in this case is 20.7, is equal to CX divided by 6.34. Therefore CX would be equal to 6.34 times the sine of 20.3. This is equal to 2.24 rounded to the nearest 2 decimal place. Alhamdulillah. ماشي. On to the next question. Question number 11. We're given a couple of functions. F of x is equal to 2x minus 1. G of x is equal to 3x plus 2. H of x is equal to 1 over x. And x cannot be equal to 0. And g of x is equal to x squared. Okay. We look for part A, find g of negative 1. So negative 1 is our input. And we want the output. حلو. What is it equal to? فهتحط literally negative 1, substitute that into the function g. G of negative 1 is equal to negative 1 square, which is equal to 1. That's it. Very simple. Now, we look for part B, find x when f of x plus g of x is equal to 0. You'll add these two functions together and then set it to be equal to 0 and then solve for x. فهنكتب كده تاني. تعال نغير اللون أوضح شوية. f of x plus g of x is equal to 0. So 2x minus 1 plus 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. فكده 5x plus 1 is equal to 0. Therefore x is equal to negative 1 over 5. Okay? Oops. Negative 1 over 5. ماشي. اللي بعده. يقول لك find the composite function g of x, giving your answer in its simplest term. G of x is the same thing as g of x. فلiterally g of x is your input. هتسبستيوت g of x هتسبستيوت x with g of x. فاحنا عارفين ان g of x is equal to 3x plus 2. g of x is going to be equal to 3 times 3x plus 2. يعني انت الاكس فعليا حطيت بدلها الفانكشن g of x اكنه ده الانبوت بتاعك، ده الانبوت بتاعك. بعدها هنكتب هنا 3 times 3x plus 2 plus 2. تعال نيجي هنا كان فاضي شوية. بعدين expand. 3 times 3 of x is 9x plus 6 plus 2, which is equal to 9x plus 8. Okay? ماشي. For part D, find h f of x plus g h of x, giving your answer as a single fraction in its simplest form. ماشي. تعال أول حاجة نطلع h of f of x. h of x ديت is the same thing as h of f of x. لو أكن f of x دولة الانبوت بتاعك هتحطه بدل x في الفانكشن بتاعت h. فهنكتب أول حاجة الفانكشن بتاعت h is 1 over x. فاحنا عاوزين h of f of x. فبدل x ديت هنكتب الفانكشن f of x اللي هي 1 هتكون 1 over 2x minus 1. اوكي. فهتكون هنا 1 over 2x minus 1. Very simple. دلوقتي تعالى نطلع g h of x. This is also the same thing as g of h of x. اوكي، ف we can write this as g فين هي 3x plus 2 ف 3 ولكن الاكس هنحط بدلها h of x. h of x فين هي 1 over x. so 3 1 over x plus 2 فاللي هي 3 over x plus 2 اللي هي 3 plus 2x divided by x. اوكي، فدوت بيقول لك اعمل h f of x plus g h of x. فدوت هتعمل دوت plus ده ف 1 divided by 2x minus 1 plus 3 plus 2x divided by x. ماشي، هنعمل common denominator. يلا ما فيش مكان، هنكتب هنا x divided by 2x square minus x وبعدين extend البتاع ده كده شوية plus 3 wait plus 3 plus 2x times 2x minus 1. فالفكرة ان انت هتمultiply by x فوق وتحت هنا fraction ديت، وهنا هتمultiply by 2x minus 1. تعالوا نيجي في الحتة دي كده. ماشي، ف x plus 3 times 2x which is 6x minus 3 plus 4x square minus 2x divided by 2x square minus x. This is equal to 4x square. 6x minus 2x is 4x. Wait, 6x minus 2x plus x, that is 5x minus 3 divided by 2x square minus x. One moment. And this quadratic formula is not factorizable, so this is your final answer: 4x square plus 5x minus 3 divided by 2x square. You can factor out x from the bottom. فهيكون x times 2x minus 1, doesn't really matter. This is your answer. Okay, I'm sorry, I just checked the mark scheme, and yes, you do need to factor out x from the bottom because it's telling you to write it in its simplest form. ماشي، يعني في درجة عليها. اوكي، اللي بعده هو انا ما اقدر اكتب what. Okay, now report E. When p of x is equal to x, p of x is a function such that p inverse of x is equal to p of x. Draw a ring around the function that has this property. ماشي، فهنا بيقول لك يعني انت مثلا لو جبت p wait انا مش عارف اكتب. اوكي I can write now. بيقول لك هنا لو انت جبت p وحطيت الانبوت بتاعك p of x you'll end up with it being equal to x. أو you can try another method إن أنت تجيب الانفرس وتشوف لو الانفرس دوت is equal to the original function. أنا بالنسبة لي الصراحة finding the inverse is much easier. فهنا f inverse of x هتكون equal to I believe that would be x plus 1 divided by 2. Obviously the inverse مش equal to the function, so this is wrong. ماشي. g inverse of x is going to be equal to x minus 2 divided by 3. This is also not correct. ولكن الانفرس بتاع h of x is going to be also equal to 1 over x, and the domain is x cannot be equal to 0. So this is the correct answer. وobviously the inverse بتاع j is going to be equal to the square root of x, which is obviously incorrect. ماشي. Okay, question number 12, part A. Sketch the graph of y is equal to tan of x for x being greater than or equal to 0 degrees and less than or equal to 360 degrees. بص، أنا مش هكدب عليكي أصلا you need to know how to sketch trigonometric graphs such as y is equal to sine of x, cosine of x, and tan of x. وأصلا and I think you also need to be able to do transformations on these graphs or solve transformation questions on these graphs. فالفكرة هنا بص، an easy way of sketching y is equal to tan of x تشوف the points at which the graph crosses the x-axis. الجراف crosses at the x crosses the x-axis at 180 degrees, 0 degrees, 180 and 360. ماشي، وعندك an asymptote at x is equal to 90 and x is equal to 170. فبص الجراف بتاعك is strictly increasing لحد 90 عشان في asymptote طبعا. بعديها بعد 90 degrees بيطلع من تحت كده. wait a minute. بيطلع من تحت passes through 180 degrees. بعديها بيزيد و it never touches the asymptote. ماشي. because literally that's the definition of an asymptote. و from 270 بينزل من تحت كده و it passes through 360 degrees. free 2 marks أهو يا عم. okay. ف for part B, find x when tan of x is equal to 1 over the square root of 3 and x is greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 360 degrees. ماشي. Okay, that's a very interesting question. دلوقتي لو احنا مثلا فتحنا هات الكالكوليتر بتاعك واكتب 1 over square root of 3 هيطلع لك، اكتب معاك اهو 0.577. ماشي. فتعال نقول ان 0.577 lies هنا كده مثلا on the y axis. استنى كده اغير اللون، ولا مش راضي اغير اللون. يلا مش عاوزين نضيع وقت. فدوت كده is 1 over the square root of 3. فانت الفكرة هنا انت بتقول مثلا what are the points of intersection or the values of x for which tan of x intersects with the line y is equal to 1 over square root of 3. فاللاين y is equal to 1 over square root of 3. يا عم غير اللون بقى. ما... يا الله. ماشي. فاللاين y is equal to 1 over square root of 3 شكله كده. ماشي. فالpoints of intersection are these two points. ماشي. فانت هدفك ان انت تطلع the values of x at which these two graphs او meet. فانت هتقول tan of x is equal to 1 over the square root of 3. وطبعا عشان تطلع أول solution أو أول value of x you'll take tan inverse of both sides. So x is equal to tan inverse of 1 over square root of 3 which is equal to 30 degrees. Okay. For this point is 30 degrees. ولكن how do we find the second point? Well, um, في حاجة مهمة أوي لازم تعرفها about trigonometric graphs إن هم extremely symmetrical. يعني مثلا الحتة ديت let me use this color. الحتة ديت is exactly the same um, length or the same distance as this point right here. يعني from 0 to 30 is the same thing as 180 till 100 plus 30. يعني let me give you another example. دلوقتي let me draw sine graph. ماشي. It looks something like this. ماشي. excuse me. فدلوقتي if I مثلا draw a horizontal line yes, a horizontal line like this, فهتلاقي ان بيحصل intersections هنا. فالفكرة ان المسافة ديت قد المسافة ديت قد المسافة ديت قد المسافة ديت. فأول حاجة احنا عارفين ان المسافة ديت يعني مثلا تعال نقول مثلا ان المسافة ديت is 20 degrees. فكده هنا عندك 0، هنا عندك 180، هنا is 360. ماشي. واحنا عاوزين نطلع مثلا ال value of x at this point and at this point. فهنعمل ايه؟ هنعمل كالآتي. since المسافة ديت is 20 degrees from the origin، المسافة ديت هتكون 180. المسافة ديت هتكون 180 minus 20 عشان literally this distance is the same as this distance. والمسافة دي برضو هتكون sorry المسافة of this المسافة of this point from the origin will be 360 plus 20. It's very simple. وديت برضو هتكون 540 minus 20 اللي هي 520. ماشي. back to the question. فاحنا كده قلنا ان this يعني the distance between the point of intersection and the origin is the same as the distance between the point of intersection and its nearest asymptote. If the value of x at this point is 30, then the value of x at this point is going to be 180 plus 30. اللي هي 210. ف our two solutions is going to be x is equal to 30 degrees and 210 degrees. Alhamdulillah, we have finished this paper. I hope you guys have learned something useful today. And yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you next time, inshallah.